To have still relatively new Mississippi State Athletics Director Zac Selmon joining us on the Farm Bureau guest line. I'm especially excited about this. I was not around for the first conversation that we had with him. I did the quick math, 104 days on the job for Zac Selmon. Zac, we really appreciate a few minutes of your time. Have you been drinking out of a fire hose for the last 104 days, kind of trying to get things moving in the right direction?
It has been like that, and thanks for the reminder. Thanks for having me on. I did not know it's been 104 days. A lot of things have learned a lot, have experienced a lot of great food, met a lot of great people. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind, but it's been a fun one.
In terms of your agenda, what's at the top of the list as you kind of settle in and you meet a bunch of people and you're trying to kind of figure out the lay of the land? But you settle in as you move toward the first summer, the first off season, and you think about big picture stuff that you want to try to accomplish. What's at the top of the list?
Yeah, I think we're still getting to the crystallization part of that. First, the number one thing is always to get in and listen, learn, get to know people, get to know processes on campus, get to know, our strengths and weaknesses, get to know our student athletes and our coaches, and then kind of really study where we're at and kind of put us on a path forward. So I think we're about to the phase of it where we have a pretty good picture of, where Mississippi State is right now and where Mississippi State can go. And now it's activating a couple of our plans. Clearly there's some key pillars that are non-negotiables for us, whether it's graduating our student athletes or equipping them with tools for life and making sure that we have transformational experiences and then putting our coaches and our student athletes in positions to win. Like those are all, things that are the non-negotiables of it. But now we're really put together a strategic action plan to make sure that we're tracking our progress towards that.
Zac, I know that when you were at your introductory press conference, when we had you on this show before, we talked about NIL and how crucial it's going to be. I know what your message is to Mississippi State fans about NIL. What are fans telling you when you talk to them about NIL?
Our fans have been great as far as NIL. I think a lot of it is just understanding more of the details of what NIL actually is, how we got here from the national landscape, some of the things we've learned, some of the mistakes nationally that have been made, how everything was rolled out. And now kind of here's a simplified, scalable way that Mississippi State fans can join and assist our student athletes to be able to have and maximize their NIL. So I've been really positive, really kind of affirmed what my gut was telling me on our fan base and what their thought was of NIL, and really pleased with how everybody's responded.
I'm curious how in conjunction with the Bulldog Foundation, you balance, like there's a finite amount of money that's out there, right? I mean, fans are generous and they're giving, but there's only so much money. And so when you look at the balance of, giving to the university versus donating to NIL, what does that look like going forward, Zac?
Yeah, we've got a great donor base. We've got just over 14,000 active Bulldog Club members, which is really healthy. And clearly we have our season ticket holders. So I think the main thing is to make sure that we have programs and systems in place where we have you can't have a one-stop shop anymore. But it's something that, regardless of what your interest might be, that we have an easy way, a scalable way for you to be able to participate. So, yeah, you're exactly right. There is an infinite amount of resources, and we understand that. And we've talked to our staffs about that. We can't do everything, but one of the things we can do is we can have simple ways and ways that people can understand of, hey, this is how you can participate, this is how you can support based on what your interest and what your passions might be as a potential investor in the Mississippi State athletics.
Based on conversations that you've had, things that you've read, Texas A&M is probably the first example of, for the most part, kind of bringing their NIL program under their foundation. I know it's a little murky still. Do you foresee that that's where this is headed, that as we continue to tweak the NIL process, that this becomes more of a university initiative than an outside collective initiative?
Yeah, that's clearly what, the winds would tell us if we're reading tea leaves from around the country. that's one of the hardest parts of, not just NIL, but any time a change comes across our business is what's clarity. And everybody's got questions. We're all operating from different institutions that have different processes, and then there's clearly different state laws and county laws. So there's always differences, but then when something like this rolls out, it's always the kind of the scrambling. And I think we're all wanting great clarity of what should we do, what can we do, and then clearly when there's first movers out there, it makes I think it's all really try to expedite and try to figure out what's the best way for our institutions moving forward. And I've always looked at it in this business is always make sure that we put our student athletes first and their health, safety, well-being, their ability to advance as an athlete and as a person, but also make sure that we're innovators and we're forward thinkers in how we provide resources. So still really bullish about some of the programs, conversations, and direction that we have here locally at Mississippi State. And know we'll have some things changing here rather sooner rather than later.
Zach, earlier today, Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated kind of whet our appetite for college football and the expanded playoff. But closer to home, we're waiting on the SEC to make their decision regarding scheduling for 2024 and beyond. Have you had any conversations with Greg Sankey and those guys at the conference about what scheduling is going to look like for next season?
Yeah, and if you don't mind breaking that news right now, we really would appreciate it.
Just right here,
roll it right out there.
Oh yeah, I got no breaking news on that. But I will say Commissioner Sankey and his entire staff are unbelievable. The ability that he's put us, or the position he's put us in, to be the premier conference in all of college sport is special. So of course, as he gets more information, his team gets more information as it flows through our presidents and chancellors and all of our great television partners. I think we're really excited about what the future will be. So clearly no decision's been made yet, but I know Commissioner and his entire team have been great and communicative to all of us what the direction might be. And so I've really appreciated his leadership throughout the process. But like everybody, I think we're all excited and anxious to just have clarity, and so we can then have action steps to move forward.
So, Zach, in terms of representing Mississippi State, do you favor a 9-game schedule, or do you prefer 8 as it exists now?
There's still a couple things I think to be worked out. As I look at it, it's always, okay, what's best for our student athletes, what's great for our fan base, and also what gives us the best pathway to the postseason. So those are still a couple of, data points that we need to know before I could say which way I really lean. But I know we're getting really close to having kind of the last data points. And one of the great things about Mississippi State is we got a plugged-in leader, a leader like Dr. Keenum who loves college athletics, who understands college athletics, and I know is representing us very well, too, in the room of presidents and chancellors.
A couple of minutes left with Zac Selmon, athletics director at Mississippi State, and we certainly appreciate your time. I'm curious, when I think about the two guys that you have worked under previously, Bubba Cunningham at North Carolina, Joe Castiglione at Oklahoma, two of the most respected men and good men in all of college athletics. What is something specific that you learned from each of them that helped prepare you for this job?
Yeah, it's something. Thanks for the question. Just forever grateful for both Bubba and Joe. I think starting with Joe always taught me to dream big and to think about things on a grand scale. He was a marketing background. Funny, he started as a Maryland Terp and started off just slinging bumper stickers on people's cars, even cars that he probably wasn't supposed to put bumper stickers on. But he's always got that marketing background of how you can have great experiences for everybody, fans, students, you name it. Bubba's always just been great as far as taking complex problems and making them simple. He's one of the most intelligent people I've ever been around. He's also one of the funniest guys, starting with his name. He's about 5'6", 5'7", somewhere in there. And I'm like, hey, how's your name? Bubba. I thought Bubba was supposed to be like 6'8", 300. But Bubba's just got a unique way to connect with people. And again, he's selfless, always puts others first. So I lean on those guys every day.
Last thing, 30 seconds left. We talked about the first 100 days. What do the next 100 days look like for you?
Yeah, next 100 days are really putting some of our plans in action. Have learned so much in the first 100 days, and now it's really excited about. We have a couple new staff members on our team, a couple new leaders within the department. So now it's really continue to stay engaged, and clearly want to see how our teams keep going through postseason, but really put some of these action steps and prepare us for the next upcoming school year. It'll be here before we know it.
There's a lot between now and then, but we get from right now to the first weekend in September in a hurry. No question about that. Zach, thanks so much for spending a few